Well, good morning. I'm going for a ski tour, a short one. And today's Friday, February 13th. And it's around 9:30 in the morning. And I'm going up into what's called the Sugar Bowls. And then I will cut back over to the West Buttermilk ski area, the cliff house first, to get something to eat. Anyway, it's cloudy. The prediction forecast for snow this weekend is lots of snow, and hopefully it comes. Yesterday we got a good amount. Up high in the valleys it was rain and melted, but it's the start of getting our snowpack to a higher level before summer. Anyway, it's good to be out moving around, and hopefully winter has returned. We'll see. And away we go. Well, I'm about halfway up to the ridge. The snowpack is pretty odd, to say the least. Shallow snowpack with a lot of layers and new snow on top. I absolutely would not want to be on anything over 30 degrees, anything steep. And that would be on all aspects. Very odd. I'm going to stick my ski pole in backwards into the snowpack. There's actually a crust already on top. The temperatures did get cool. I broke through that. That's new snow. Now, so it only looks like about 3 inches there. I'm going to push through the next crust, which is pretty solid. And that's the ground there on February 13th. So that's the snowpack. And it's less than a meter deep at this location. And this location is probably about 9,000 feet. There's an opening just ahead of me here through the aspen trees, and that's the upper Sugar Bowl. I've showed this before on other videos on my YouTube channel, and I'm just about to walk out, and then from here I'm only about 10 minutes or so from the ridge. But as I was walking, I was thinking about avalanche education, which I've been doing for a while. Avalanche education awareness. And I've been thinking more and more about the work I've been doing in the Himalayas over the last 13 years. 14 years now, actually, 13 and a half. And I was been thinking about mountaineering expeditions and going up into the big mountains and glaciers in the Himalayas. And it's pretty interesting. It's a completely different way of not completely, but it's a different way of approaching what we do in the Rocky Mountains, the Alps, Canada, with avalanche education, Japan. In the Himalayas, you have such big terrain, and you have avalanches that can come down from 6,000, 8,000 plus above you, and some avalanches that will even go into the green, into the forest at times, with a calving event of a glacier. But thinking about how mountaineering expeditions, and especially I'm thinking about knolls, we have what's called the Gar in the fall and the spring, where they go up on the glaciers up to about 17,000, 18,000 feet. And the best way that I can come up with, and I think it's knowing completely the avalanche awareness triangle and how that applies to avalanche education. But it comes down to having good quality maps I've used Gaia in the Himalayas, and it's quite good. I would like to use Caltopo. So if anybody knows if that works well in the Himalayas, I would like to know. I haven't used it. And Caltopo is my go-to program in the US. I've been using it for a number of years, and I actually a couple of weeks ago, I really started using it more and had a little bit of training with it, which is good. But Gaia can show the elevation, the slope aspects, and more importantly, the slope angles. And that's what you really want to focus on, the slope angles and the terrain above you. And then trying to figure out through using the map, where Caltopo is quite good at figuring out the alpha angle from the top of the peaks or ridges above you, how far an avalanche would possibly go into the slopes below or even the valley below, or if it's a tight valley, would it go up the other side? And then weather forecasting. So you're looking at terrain on the avalanche awareness triangle, and you're looking at weather and weather forecasting. That's the main tools you have. Snowpack to a lesser degree, because you don't know what the snowpack is above you. In the snowpack where you are, if you're on the glacier, just maybe hard rock ice and firm snow that really isn't telling you much. So it's based on weather and terrain and really having good forecasting. I'll talk more about this later, but it is an interesting topic, something I have a certain amount of passion for. I do have a passion for. I don't want incidents that happened with the Nehru Mountaineering Institute in Uttarakashi in 2023. I think 29 people died in an avalanche. Knowles experienced in March of 2024. I'd have to check. An avalanche in the India Himalayas, and the weather was not good. And the weather forecasting, or what the current events were, it was a lot of snow coming down in a very short period of time. Feet. They actually had feet of snow coming down. It was wet and heavy at the location they were. I don't want to get into too much of the incident. It was a very sad incident. But the good thing, no one was injured. And unbelievably, no injuries, no fatalities, which was wonderful. And everybody did a really good job after the incident. That's all I'll say about the incident. But the weather was the big factor there, and the surrounding terrain and slope angles around the camp. And knowing what's above you, which is very difficult. Anyway, I'm going to keep going on into the sugar bowls, and I will chat more in a bit, I think. Well, I'm just getting to the top of the ridge. You can see the sun through the clouds, which is pretty cool. I'm anxious to see if I can see highlands or how far in the valley when I get to the top of the ridge. Well, the upper mountains are pretty socked in, but I can see down into the Maroon Creek Valley. But it's nice to be up on the ridge, and the weather's not bad yet. Well, there's more snow on the ridge than I anticipated. Conditions actually are not bad for skinning across back to Buttermilk ski area.